Okay. Live?
We are live.
Okay. It feels like you and I are just talking and it's just us.
Hey, Kim.
Hey, Amaya. Good morning,
Morning,
everyone.
morning. So good to
So,
be here.
yes, on this beautiful Saturday morning, it is great to wake up and be a Black woman. So we are here to talk about partnership and and I think this is the perfect day really to talk about partnership, talk about two Black women partnering, talk about business and share with you our story and hopefully inspire you to, if you're thinking about something, just to kind of get started and find out who's your partner right now and whatever it is that you want to venture out on. So that's what we're here to talk about. And I always lean to Amaya, my partner. She's the opener, and I'm going to have her get us started today.
Sure. So, as you heard from the intro, good morning again. So good to talk to you all. And thank you for having us here. As you heard in the intro, we're Kim and Amaya Smith. We're not related. We're just more like soul sisters, but we are best friends. And we came together almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years ago in December to form the Brown Beauty Co-op. And the Brown Beauty Co-op is a cooperative business, beauty business based in DC. And we retail hair care, skincare, and makeup. And all our products are created for women and people like you. And we really started the Brown Beauty Co-op because both of us were beauty lovers, and we really felt like there was a big gap in the beauty market that wasn't catering to us. And we also felt like, why hadn't anybody else thought of this business and let us hurry up and create this thing before somebody else did? And we both had our different passions and our different pain points. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that really makes for a great partnership when you both have your own sort of passions that you bring to the business, as well as knowledge and perspective as well. And so, we have our separate stories because we also own two separate brands underneath the Brown Beauty Co-op, which is a very unique model. And that we frequently tell people as entrepreneurs that, you don't have to go it alone, right? There's lots of innovative ways you can figure out how to start your business, and partnering together is a great way to pool capital. So I started Product Junkie, my side of the Brown Beauty Co-op, right when we opened the doors of the Brown Beauty Co-op. It was like, doors open, time to start a business, right? And so that was a fun learning experience for me as well. But I had the idea for Product Junkie almost probably 7 years before we started the business. I was really into the natural hair movement, and I felt like there was no real community outside of the online community for women who were wearing their hair natural to gather together to get great products and to find out really great information. And I would see everybody in the aisles of Target, and we were just waiting for another Black woman to walk into the aisle so we can ask her what she was using in her hair. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? This is not our community in Target in the aisle next to the toilet paper, right? Like there's got to be a better experience for us. And so I always dreamt of us having this store and this space where we could really find community. But I also tell people Kimberly was not in my small business vision in my dreams. In my dreams of becoming a great entrepreneur, I didn't see anybody by my side. And I think that's very much sort of the model that we have specifically, I think a lot in this country, but we know these iconic figures like the Bill Gates of the world and the Steve Jobs. We see CEOs as singular figures. And so we think the only way to enterprise is by yourself. And so I really had this vision of starting this business by myself, but honestly, looking back almost 2 years later, I know that I would not have been able to start this business without Kimberly, right? the capital, the amount of work that goes into running a brick and mortar store is enormous and such a huge hurdle, especially as like a woman of color, where we have less access to capital and resources, et cetera, et cetera. We all know the story. So Kim and I started out as like best friends. We met at a sorority meeting. Randomly, we were like in a transition phase in our life, and we were looking for people to hang out with. So we were like, happy hour partners. So for years before
When
hitting
outside was open.
when outside was open, we used to have all the funds, y'all. Okay. We were not those folks who were like, we're gonna go out sometime. We were like, we're gonna go out all the time and experience all the things. And so, drinking happy hour buddies turned into entrepreneurship partnership. And so I'll turn it over to Kim because I'm talking a lot, and so she can tell her side of the story.
Sure. And so my part of the Brand Beauty Co-op is Marjani. And I launched Marjani January of 2017. And it was the summer of 2016 where I had an idea that I wanted to start a business. And I will say, like a lot of people, I did not see myself owning a beauty business. I knew at some point I probably wanted to do something. I'm an attorney by trade, and I felt that if anything, I would probably do some consulting at some point in life. Owning a store was not in my dream at all. But as most small businesses are created is usually out of a pain point, out of some personal frustration you have, and then being crazy enough to think that you're going to be the one to fix it. So it was a summer and I was going into I'm gonna keep it real. I was going to Sephora. Okay. This is my origin story. So I'm going to be real with you. I was going to Sephora and I was looking for a particular it was a shade of not foundation but contouring. I was going on a trip and I wanted to get my little contour stick, and they didn't have this particular shade in store, and I was told that they would no longer carry the shade in store. And I thought it was really odd because here in the DMV, what it used to be Chocolate City, but it's still more chocolate than the middle of America. Okay, so we are still walking around here as Black and brown women, needing our beauty products in store, right? And so finding out, one, that they would no longer carry that shade, and then two, the other part of it was, okay, they don't have this product. Well, let me look around the store to see if I can find something else that's complementary. And I couldn't find anything. I couldn't even find anything that would be deep enough for me to use as a contour. So I remember walking out of the store. I I experienced this before, but I remember walking out that particular day. I don't know if I was feeling real Black in the summer of 2016, but I just was really upset. And I was thinking, okay, there has to be a better way, because if someone that comes in this store that is darker than me and they're just looking for a foundation shade, they're going to walk around, they're going to be unsatisfied as well. And so how can we as Black and brown women in this city not be able to walk into a store and be able to find whatever it is that we need? So that particular day turned into, okay, well, maybe I'll start something of my own. And that pretty much is what I did. I wanted to create a business where, Black and brown women can come, you can shop for foundation, you can shop for skincare, but be able to go in and be seen by the people that work there, be seen by the company behind the scenes, and that they're buying products because they know that you frequent that location, and also be just a safe place. And so what started out online was always a dream to have a brick and mortar store. Well, we know a brick and mortar store is one, it's a crazy idea again. And I keep using the word crazy because I think entrepreneurship is just crazy in general, right? Because you have to just have this, like, be so, and I feel like I'm a risk averse person, but what I'm doing is risky, but I'm still walking directly into it and walking down this path of, like,
He's the
trying
risk
to do
taker.
this.
He's the risk
Yeah,
taker. He's the
it's
risk
just,
taker. I'm risk averse.
and I really don't feel that I am, though, even though I guess that I am. But wanting to really experience this business in a true way meant that it had to have a physical component. And being able to open up a store, I knew I could not do it on my own. There was no way. Also, there was no way, unfortunately, that I was going to be able to get funding outside of myself to be able to invest in this without using my own personal funds. And so, knowing that and knowing that in some way, that was kind of constraining on what I was going to be able to do. And cueing Amaya and what she wanted to do with her business and what she'd always wanted to do for the past 7 years, what she had been thinking, and what I was doing online and what I knew I wanted to do in the future, it made sense for the both of us to come together to create this one-stop shop, this experience. But what we did is we took it a step further. It wasn't just, okay, cool, well, let's have this store and let's do this beauty supply. Like that wasn't good enough for us. Like we wanted to create something new and different. So one, we created this different business model. Like, we've heard of cooperatives before, but the way in which we operate our cooperative is very different from what people normally think of a cooperative. We are a owner operated cooperative. When we say we have three businesses, they are three legit businesses. Brown Beauty Co-op sits up top. That is its own thing that we've created. We like to say it's like the walls of the business. It's a concept because again, it's not just a retail part of it. The Brown Beauty Co-op really is a concept. It's a community space. It's a vehicle for us to support other small businesses. It's a platform for us to be vocal about how Black and Brown women experience beauty and the inadequacies of other businesses and how they service us. It really gives us the platform to be able to speak and to advocate for ourselves. And then beneath that, we have the retail part of the business, which is Amaya's Product Junkie, which is natural hair focus, and my business, Marjani, which is makeup and everything else, skincare and bath and body focused. Am I okay? Where did Amaya go? Okay. Okay. There. Okay, there you are. You were gone. Hello?
I dropped off. I don't
Okay.
know if Kimberly's still speaking.
Yeah, I stopped for a minute because I saw that you were gone. Okay. All right, you're back. So that was us coming together to take our ideas and push it beyond what either of us was even thinking separately. And thus we have the Brown Beauty Co-op. We have turned ourselves from being career women to now being entrepreneurs.
I'm
And
back. I don't know if you all can hear me, or if Kimberly dropped off, or what the internet. Oh, perfect. Okay, you
okay,
can hear me. Okay, perfect.
can
I
you
don't
hear
know how
me?
we both dropped off at the same time. I can't hear Kim.
Oh, that's strange. Oh, okay, you can hear both of us. Okay, Amaya dropped off, and this is strange. Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm
Are
back
you here?
on. I can't hear Kim, so I don't want to talk over her. So sorry, technical difficulties, y'all.
Oh, that's strange.
Okay. So I'm going to talk. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't have my browser on mute. Um, if, okay. So I'll chat. I don't know why I can't hear anybody else, but if y'all can hear me, and I don't know where Kim stopped, but I'm going to start with my first piece of advice for folks, and hopefully my tech will work itself out because I need to hear Kim. We're very good at playing off of each other. So I will say a good piece of advice, I think, in general in life is do not be discouraged by your lack of knowledge on something. And I think that it was super key for me to finally realize. And I don't think I realized, we're almost 2 years into the business. And I probably just realized that most recently, honestly. What a question that we get a lot of times when we do interviews and we talk to folks like you all is, what was your beauty biz experience or background? Like everybody thinks we worked in the industry, that we like worked at the Mac counter, or we worked in corporate beauty, and we don't have any of that experience, y'all. We have no beauty background experience between us, other than coming to it as consumers, which is the stories that we just told you all. So we really we approached it from the perspective of being the shoppers, being the buyers, and knowing what we wanted. But we didn't have the knowledge of like looking at the back end of the beauty business or even working in retail before. And Kim can tell a little bit of her story and our actual sort of backgrounds, but I majored in political science. I did all the political sciencey jobs in Washington, D.C. that you can think of. I worked on Capitol Hill. And I really focused on communications. So I did a lot of press and media. I worked for my local member of Congress. I worked for the National Democratic Party. I worked to help get Barack Obama elected the first time. Like that's my background, y'all. It's not in makeup, cosmetics, or hair. And, I do have a pretty good background in marketing because of that. So like, I can throw out a solid press release, I can name something catchy, I can come up with a good slogan, so I do have all these other skills in my back pocket that really serve, aid, and help the business as well. But, I think
Okay, so Amaya went out again, but I can piggyback off of what she was saying, and that you don't need to have the experience because, she was mentioning that she has a career in political science, and I mentioned earlier that I'm an attorney by background, and my background was in healthcare. It had nothing to do with what I am doing currently, but similar to Amaya, there was certain transferable skills that I am now using in this business that I've now created. So I do think that is great advice to, look beyond what you might have feel that you're trained for or what you've been doing. If you have an idea, you can still, go for it. Another piece of advice I would give, and that's is really about what we're talking about today, is partnership. We know that Black women-owned businesses are severely underfunded, and a lot of what keeps us from starting is having that initial capital. A lot of what keeps our businesses from growing is having capital and having investments. And we know that. And so, how can we find ways to address that in a way that we can still be building businesses? And so It could be through partnership, and there's different ways in which you can partner. Amaya and I partnered in a way where it's a 50-50 ownership of a business, but we found a creative way to still be able to operate our separate businesses 100% as individuals, but then utilize a whole new business that we created to really support our separate businesses and kind of funnel the capital that we both brought to the table to support our shared business and then and support our separate businesses. And I think that to me is an interesting model, because if you do have, some ideas or certain things that you do want to do alone, and maybe a partner may not help facilitate that, you can still find ways in which to, reach out to someone. It doesn't have to be a friend. It can be truly someone who just is a business partner, but find ways to start your business. And then if you have already started your business and need to grow, maybe finding someone that could help you through capital or through other, service or whatever it is, to help you to be able to grow and scale your business. So I do think partnership and thinking about partnership in different ways is really important, and not just thinking that, oh my gosh, I need to do it on my own, or oh my goodness, like, partnerships never work. I think right now for us it's really crucial that we start to look within our network and figure out how we can, grow, go grow each other's businesses and help each other really reach our individual goals that we could possibly do together. Okay, so Maya is still gone, but I will still go. Another thing I will say too is, get started. Whatever it is that you want to do, there's no perfect time. One of the things that it would be crazy for us not to really address is the fact that we were going into year 2 of our business and COVID broke out. When COVID first broke, we, like other businesses, we were directed to close our doors. So you can imagine, two people that said that they're risk averse. This was not, owning a business was, we were not career in retail or beauty, and having this brick and mortar store, which is a huge overhead. Now I'm being told that, okay, we're in this whole health pandemic and we have to close our business. What do we do? We were closed from about March until, I think it was August or September. The brick and mortar was closed. And right away, we had to pivot. We had to figure out, okay, how are we going to make this business work? How are we going to pay rent? Because rent was still due, even though our doors were closed. Fortunately enough for us, we both operate e-commerce sites. So we were able to shift a lot of our business to our websites and also grow the presence of our websites through different marketing efforts. And we started doing everything virtual. We started doing virtual consultations. We started doing curbside delivery. We started doing local delivery. I mean, we were actually hand delivering products. We were just getting down into just like the nitty gritty of the business and things that really don't seem glamorous. When you see a lot of business owners, sometimes it looks like it's really cool, it's really great, but we were just really, and we're still in it. We're still in the grind of making sure that this business is going to survive Corona. Because even though we're now open, we're now in this new normal where even going into beauty stores just doesn't quite look the same right now. And so we're figuring out each and every day how to make this business work. And even with all that, I still say you have to get started. Whatever business it is, you have to get started. You never know what's going to happen. We could have never envisioned that we would open up a store and a year and a half into it, there would be this health outbreak and we would have to close our doors. But I would tell you that even throughout that, even, on today where we are still being challenged, that I don't regret that moment of getting started. And now it's just about how do you pivot? How do you figure out ways to grow your audience? How do you figure out ways to, make this space that was meant to be about community? How do you still do that in a way that's in a whole different world? And you figure out ways to do that. And through partnership, we're able to lean on each other and figure out how we can leverage each other's skills to continue to keep the business going. Can you hear me now, Maya?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, great. Welcome back.
Thank you. I fell into a void.
Okay, so I finished your comments and then I just also gave the tip about just getting started and going through like how we've been affected by corona and how we never anticipated being small business owners, being new business owners, that when we started this business a year and a half into it, there would be this whole health outbreak and we would have to close our doors and figure out ways to keep the business open. But even despite that, you have to get started because there's no perfect timing for a business or to start anything that you want to do. So you literally just have to do it. So that I was finishing up that.
That is so true. And like folks should drop their questions on the stage chat as well too, because we love to interact. And so like if you have specific questions for us, no question is too silly. Like ask us directly. We love interacting with folks. But that is so right. I mean, that's why I definitely say like I think I'm more risk averse than Kim, because Kim was really gung ho about like opening the brick and mortar, and she was like really a driving force for like getting us started and getting the doors open. Now, granted, like she has a legal background, and I think being a lawyer like gave her the assets to be able to like look at a lease and not feel intimidated by that, and really look at like what a corporate setup looks like and not be intimidated by that. And so she was able to like drive us across the finish line as well. But honestly, like I told y'all heard me, like I had that idea for like 7 years. Like I would have been sitting on that idea for how long? Just sort of waiting for the right moment, because I was always waiting for the right moment. And, I am in a group with a number of like entrepreneurs that offer like resources towards each other. And it's so interesting because I'm hearing so many stories of people who started their business during the pandemic and are doing really well. And so, what folks don't realize is that, well, many folks probably actually realize this is, when everything closed and, nobody could go to the mall anymore, or people couldn't go directly into the store to buy something, like online business skyrocketed, right? And so a number of folks who were able to really take advantage of it or be in the right space or had created community were able to actually like benefit from, shutdowns and there being a pandemic, because they were getting traffic that they weren't getting before. And so I don't think, anybody would think, hey, it's a smart thing to do to start a business during a pandemic, right? But like there are folks who've done it and are doing well and are making it through. I mean, I think a lot of those folks are online businesses as well, which kind of makes a difference. But I mean, I've heard of stories of folks who have like started brick and mortars or, started sort of innovative business models where like it's like a walk up business, or they have like a bar style business. Like, people are really changing their models during COVID. Like, don't get it twisted. People are making money right now, during a crisis and a pandemic. So totally agree with Kim. There is like there will be no perfect time where you have all the finances, all the resources to start your business. And so like do something small every day, like keep moving towards the goal, I think is like the key part. Like don't get discouraged, and keep like checking things off your to-do list to finally get there, because you never know sort of when the moment will come and you need to sort of be ready for it. So I would definitely encourage folks to not think that there's a perfect time, and also like use this moment to think about like innovation. And I don't know if you talked about like some of the pivoting that we've had to do, or like how we staff business as well.
Yeah, I talked about how we did the pivot. I also talked about partnerships and how partnerships models look different, and you can create different partnerships. So it doesn't have to be the typical, you find someone, you do 50-50, you do everything together. You can find different ways in which to partner with people along the way in the business, whether it's to create it or whether it's to help grow it and scale it. There's different ways in which you can have people come in and be a resource to you to help grow your business. So that was, I think that was my second point I made as well.
Okay. Yeah, and I would say like I mean several things. Like I love to talk about the nitty gritty of the business because I think like a lot of times entrepreneurs like don't share those facts or sometimes we don't get them. So like people see a business like our store like no humble brag at all. Like our store is beautiful and gorgeous. People walk into it and like are amazed. And so often people think we're bigger than we are, right? So people will come in and be like, where's you have other stores and other locations, right? Like, where can I find you in like Brooklyn, right? And we're like, not there yet. We know this looks really good, but we're still working on it, right? And so, we like to like tell the business behind the brand essentially. But I still work. We are self-funded. So a lot of folks often ask like, how did you fund? We're self-funded. We recently started getting access to aid, honestly, during COVID, because ironically, there is probably more funding opportunities than there ever have been out there for entrepreneurs during this time. But we self-funded. I still work a full-time job, right? So like I also have that experience of like starting a business while working a full-time job, which is challenging. And Kim's a full-time entrepreneur. But again, when we thought about starting a store, the amount of capital to furnish the store, to do a build out, to be able to hire staff and put people on payroll is enormous, right? So like just to open the doors of a brick and mortar store is a six-figure operation, right? Anywhere between $100,000 and $160,000, and that's not even talking about putting anybody on payroll, y'all. So we in our minds, like because we didn't know what we were doing, we're like, we're gonna pay somebody to work in this store for us. But we were still figuring out the model of our business. So we needed to be the workers, right? For a while to set the standard and set the experience. So that we could eventually train somebody, because as Ken stated before, we're not just a retail model. Like we are very experiential. Like you get a very hands-on experience. And so if we would have just had somebody who wasn't sort of deep into the brand and didn't have the same passions come in on day one, sort of staffing the store, they wouldn't have brought sort of the same ethos and the same sort of customer service experience that we would have brought to the actual store. And so like, Kim works in a store full time while I'm still able to work my full time job, which helps me finance the business. Right. And so it's a balance. And I think somebody said, how do you balance the 9 to 5 and my business? Some days I do, some months I do better than others. I took off a month in July, which was just amazing. Actually, it was in June during sort of when everything was happening in the country. And I was like, oh, this is like so refreshing. Like I get to see what it's like to be a full-time entrepreneur for a month. Like I have so much more time to focus and spend on the business. And it depends on what's happening in my job. Like my full-time job does a lot around politics and the election. So like I've been up till like 3 or 4 in the morning, like working on my full-time job, right? But I'm also trying to like work towards Black Friday and the holiday season. So a lot of my time is also focused like trying to create a retail offer as well. So some weeks I'm on it, and some days, I'm not as sharp as I need to be. And it is a really, really tough balance, right? Ideally, like I know that if I had more time to focus on the business, I could possibly be more productive. But you could always have all the time in the world. And if you don't know how to structure it right, it's not going to make a huge difference. And Kim can also speak to like what it's like jumping out on a ledge, jumping off the ledge, and being like a full time solo entrepreneur.
Oh Lord, that I don't know if we have enough time for that. But I do want to. There's a question. Do you have any advice for folks who apply these lessons outside of entrepreneurship? And I think the lessons that we're talking about is, hey, do it, get started, partnership. You don't have to have all of the knowledge or think that you have all the knowledge, because I think we have more knowledge within that we don't realize until we're pressed to do it, or it's exposed in some kind of way. And I think that's exactly it. So whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's your career, whether it's going back to school, whether it's a relationship, whatever it is, there's no perfect timing for anything. We never have all of the knowledge. We're always learning every day. And I think that's what it has to be. You have to be open to learn. And if you're open to learn, then you have to back up and say something. You have to admit that you don't know everything, and then be okay with the fact that you don't know everything. And then that allows you to be open to receiving information in all different forms, whether it comes through people, whether it comes through you reading and researching, whether it comes through you and failing flat on your face and then learning from that lesson. I think that is something that we can apply in no matter what area it is of our lives, just knowing that we have to constantly be learning. But for sure, in entrepreneurship, you have to humble yourself and know that you don't know everything, and it's key. So another question
Yeah, and
was, go
I'll
ahead.
just add to that. Yeah, I'll add to that and say, I think for a long time, really felt like, as I spoke to before, I thought like there were some magical geniuses in the world who like I was trying to catch up to, right? I think that's always like our perception, that like there are these other brilliant people out here and they have all the knowledge and I'm trying to get on their level. Like with anything, like everybody's making it up in a lot of areas, y'all, especially, areas like entrepreneurship. But like I'm in a lot of other rooms. I think like one of the best phrases that I heard from Michelle Obama when she left the White House was like, she was like, I kept looking for genius. I was in these rooms with all these people. And she was like, I'm the one I'm looking for, like, and she is literally surrounded by the talent of the world in the most powerful office of the land. Right. And so like, don't underestimate like the skill set that you bring, your ability to like be receptive to learn and be flexible, will take you further, than you will ever realize. And, don't wait for like geniuses to show up and tell you everything, right? Like you are more powerful than you realize.
Another question is, what recommendations do you have for those seeking funding for a business? Um, I Let's just be real. I think we've said a couple times, Black woman founded businesses, we are like, I don't know, put this in a real way. We don't get money, y'all. We don't get money at the same rate that our counterparts do. So I think one, we need to understand that. So don't assume that these businesses that are successful, don't assume that they are backed by huge investors, or that there's been some this big pot of money that people have found this way of getting to and they have access to it. We need to understand that first of all. And then second, figure out ways to find the money. We can do loans, but understand loans are not easy to get as well for Black small businesses. So I think trying to find non-traditional ways of raising capital is probably the best way to get started, because if you wait for outside funding, a lot of times that can potentially stall your business. So I would say, look out for grants, look for free money, crowd funds, partner, which is what we did. Like we used our own resources to start this business. And it's only now 2 years in that we're getting some money, and it's because of a pandemic that we're now getting some money. You know what I'm saying? So, and fortunately, Maya and I have been meeting other entrepreneurs that are on different stages in their business. And so we know people that are in year 4, year 5 that are making seven, 8 figures, but they did not get the funding until year 2, year 3, where they're already profitable, which doesn't really make sense when you think about it. So we really have to find ways, alternative ways within our community of finding money and then sharing with each other how we found the money, and then sharing with each other, our own resources and networks. A lot of us are bootstrapping, but think of how far you can go if you bootstrap with someone else. So I think for us, we're always going to talk about partnership because that is the model that got us to where we are right now, to actually having a actual business right now.
So true, so true. Gems, gems, coins. Anisha Kroom said, "Is there a defining moment in your career slash business when you realized that you were doing the work you were meant to do?" That's such an interesting question.
Yeah.
I want to hear Kimberly's answer, but I would say, for me, like like my day job, like I still love the work that I do at my day job. Like I'm not one of those people who like they get on my nerves, y'all. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like these people get on my nerves. But, I work for a women's rights nonprofit. And so, like, I work on racial justice issues. Like, every day, like, I get up and I fight for Black women. I work on issues like Black maternal mortality, so, like, these are things that I'm passionate about. So, I'm not the entrepreneur who's like, oh my God, I hate my day job. Like, I'm just trying to get out of here and I'm just, in it for the money. Right. And so, like, I always tell people, like, you can have multiple passions, right? I always feel like the world is always trying to like box you in and tell you like you can be this one thing, right? And that's like your lane. And I'm like, I love writing. I do a lot of that on my day job, right? And I want to do more writing. I don't love public speaking or doing TV, but I know like I have something to say, and so I need to do more of that. And that's a passion that I shouldn't, reject as well. And so I don't feel like necessarily like I've had a defining moment. I feel like every day, like I get closer and closer to like realizing like my passions and my talents and realizing like I can use them in a number of ways to one, like, advance and help Black women. Cause like I'm super passionate about that and using my gifts and talents to figure out how to do that better. But I'm always like, I love the act of learning, and being an entrepreneurship has been great because an entrepreneur has been great because I feel like I also had reached the ceiling.
Okay, Amaya is out again. So we're coming up to the end of our, so I will answer that question. And when did I realize it? And I would say in my career, as an attorney, and I don't know, one day I probably will go back to being an attorney, because I think for me to continue to be an entrepreneur, I want to continue to be able to invest in my business. And now that I have an understanding of the business, I probably can go back to doing that. I'm not passionate about that though. I was good at it. I was great at being an attorney, but that wasn't my passion. For me, I would say when I realized what my passion was feeling that I was or am failing, but still wanting to get up and do it
I
the
don't
next
know if
day.
Kim is still in.
Yes, I'm here. So now she won't be able to hear me again. Okay, hold on. I'm here, but can't hear you. Okay. But yeah, that's the moment I realized where my passion was um, being, I'm going to say, being courageous enough to start this business and to continue this business, knowing that it would be a hard road to build something from the ground up and to see it turn from just this idea and being in the moment of growing something and growing it to be a success. But along that path, there's so many days where I feel that either I'm failing, that I want to give up, it's not working, maybe I'm not the right person for this, having all of these doubts, but still wanting to continue. That, when I realized that, when I started having those feelings, I realized that I'm doing what I'm meant to do. Because otherwise, being, a type A personality, feeling, that always had to have a plan. And if a plan didn't work out or something didn't work out, then okay, cool, that's not for me. I can give up. I can do this. Maybe I'm meant to do something else. But being in something where no matter how bad I'm feeling about it, I still want to continue. I still want to go on. That's when I realized like my passion truly is about creating spaces for Black women, creating opportunities for Black women. And that is where I'm happy. I'm happy building my businesses around that and having other ideas of what I want to do in the future. And everything really centers around how can I make more opportunities for us, and how can I make us be more visible in rooms and in industries and conversations that we are not normally seen in. And that is something I know I'm extremely passionate about. And it came through starting a business that for some might think like, oh, it's just a beauty business, it's a beauty store, but realizing that it's so much more than that. And that is where I am today, knowing that I am living my passion and knowing that even living my passion, it's still a difficult journey. It's still a hard journey. But there's even moments when I want to give up, I say it, but I know deep down I'm not going to. And that I'm like, okay, I'm definitely passionate about this. I'm definitely living in something that's bigger than me, because no matter how hard it is, I still want to continue. I still want to figure out ways on how to solve a problem or how to turn the corner. But I think that just comes with jumping out there and figuring it out, because like I said, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know that if you would have met me 5 years ago, I would not have told you that I would be doing this. So it really was kind of letting go and seeing opportunities and kind of just going for it. And then along the way, I prayed for passion. I prayed that I would have something that I would be really dedicated to. And it happened without me even planning for it, without me even knowing that it was it. And it just being kind of revealed in scary ways, really. Okay, Amaya's back.
I am back. I don't think I see any other questions, but I heard the last of what you said, Kim. I feel like I missed a little what you said. I wanted to hear more.
You probably heard it before in different ways.
I know, I know. We do these a lot, so but sometimes I hear new things. So it's always fun to hear new things about your business partner and friend.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think Amaya wanted me to brush on just briefly about being a full-time entrepreneur. And I said it before, like it's a full conversation because I don't really feel like I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I kind of feel like I'm learning how to sit in that, and I don't really sit in that role comfortably. I do want to go back to work at a certain point. I think it's necessary because again, I think when we think about resources and capital, I feel like I'm my best capital right now. Like my brain, my diploma is my best capital at this point. And it's the easiest way I feel that I can get money in a fast way versus waiting for someone to invest because they think this is a good idea, or waiting for a bank to give me a loan, and then further put myself into debt. I think about that. I'm like, I don't know if I'm capable of doing all of that. But what I do know is I can go back to work and I can start to make some money. So I think that too is a path in entrepreneurship, is that, Maya mentioned before, you don't have to be in a box. You don't have to be this. Entrepreneurship isn't just only doing that and not working. I know so many people that have businesses that are doing all these different side hustles to fund their business, and it's pretty much the same thing. So for me, I think it was necessary that I do this. One of us had to do this full time. One of us had to understand how this business works, how retail works. And now having that understanding, it's a safer time to be able to have someone that come in and do that. So I don't leave it off the table of work, of going back to work full time at all. Like, we know the richest people have multiple hustles. So like, to me, the career is a hustle. Like, so I definitely am not one of these people. And I don't know where we got into a world where we kind of shame 9 to 5 and praise entrepreneurship. I don't know where that happens, but people don't give you the real deal about being a full-time entrepreneur. I am never the person on, no matter what panel, wherever you see me speak, I'm never going to be someone to tell you you should leave your job because of what's going on and work full time. Like, yes, it's stressful. Working for it could be a mess, but at the end of the day, we have to find ways within our community of growing, and being financially literate, being financially independent, being financially strong. And if that means we have to have 5 billion jobs and 5 billion businesses, then that's what we need to do. And don't feel that we have to only do one. We can do both. You can own your business and you can work for someone else and really make money, but then also it could be an avenue for you to explore other things about yourself that you want to explore and do. So you can also look at it like that as well. So there's so many paths to really finding your passion. And I think we can kind of close really on what Amaya said. You don't have to be put in the box. Like, as a Black woman, as Black women, we should know this, that we do not have to be put in anybody's box. We can literally do whatever we want to do. And we don't have to just be constrained into just feeling that one thing is a passion or one thing is going to lead to fulfillment. We can exercise all our different loves and interests and skills and abilities in different ways.
This is great talking to you all. We just dropped our info into the stage chat. So yeah, visit our website, buy things. I'm not even gonna like be shameless plug, buy things. We're awesome, amazing, and great. And follow us on Instagram. We're always on there, IG living and chatting and having similar conversations. So this was great. So good to talk to you all.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate you. All right.
Thanks, Brittany.
No problem. So we've come to the end of the keynote session, guys. You'll get a quick 10-minute break, get some water, stretch, check out the Brown Beauty Co-op's Instagram page, shameless plug, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes. While you're on that break, feel free to check out the upcoming sessions. You can click on the tabs on the left-hand side of your pane in order to do that. You can also do some networking or check out the vendor expo. There's other people selling things as well. So we'll see you soon.